Kevin Stefanski might be the most successful Browns coach of the last 20 years, and still his future is in doubt. That's how desperate things have become in Cleveland. The franchise, despite brief flashes of competence, continues to spiral in and out of dysfunction. Now, the front office is reportedly considering handing the team over to Deion Sanders, offering him unprecedented control and the chance to coach his own son. It's a move that signals one thing clearly: stability under Stefanski is no longer enough. Cleveland wants spectacle, certainty, and star power. In that light, the offer to coach Prime becomes less of a surprise and more of an inevitability. With SHEDEUR Sanders showing maturity and upside in his NFL debut, pairing him with his father could create a foundation unlike any the Browns have had before.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
But this isn't just a family narrative, it's a full-blown power shift. A franchise that's long been defined by confusion may finally be ready to define itself by something else entirely. The NFL was not ready for this headline. The Cleveland Browns are reportedly ready to throw an unprecedented bag at Deion Sanders. Yes, Coach Prime himself, in what could be the boldest coaching offer in modern football history. Not just a contract. Not just a title. We're talking full control of the roster, one of the largest coaching salaries ever discussed, and the opportunity to coach his own son on the professional stage. This isn't a rumor living in the shadows. It's being whispered across front offices and media rooms as a serious, escalating situation. Bringing Deion into the NFL isn't just controversial because of his charisma. It's controversial because it breaks every rule of how franchises typically operate. No NFL coaching experience. No prior head coaching time in the league. But what Deion Sanders does have is presence, momentum, and a proven ability to flip culture. He did it at Jackson State. He did it again at Colorado. And now, the Browns are considering him as their nuclear option to fix a franchise stuck in its own repeat cycle of chaos. On the surface, it feels like a Hollywood script. The all-time great cornerback turned college coaching star, now potentially standing on the NFL sideline, calling plays for a team that hasn't seen stability in over 2 decades. But this time the twist is personal. The Browns' pursuit of Deion Sanders isn't just about coaching. It's about legacy. It's about SHEDEUR. Deion's son, SHEDEUR Sanders, is set to make his first NFL start at quarterback for Cleveland. The same team that's run through more QBs than any other since the early 2000s is now betting the house on a rookie. One who just so happens to share a last name with the man they want as head coach. That's not a coincidence. That's a calculated pivot. SHEDEUR isn't being handed anything though. By the time this offer started gaining attention, SHEDEUR had already begun commanding respect in the Browns locker room. Coaches saw his poise. Teammates praised his leadership. Reports said he walked into the playbook like he owned it. And now all eyes are on his debut, because how he performs will directly shape whether this franchise actually moves forward with the Coach Prime era. From the jump, SHEDEUR looked NFL ready. His ability to read defenses, keep composure, and rally the offense didn't look like a fluke. The Browns might be desperate for stability, but SHEDEUR's presence makes this a real conversation, not a PR stunt. In his press appearances leading up to the debut, SHEDEUR stayed locked in. No cocky headlines. Just clear focus. He said he respected the team, the system, the process, and he knew the stakes. That kind of calm under pressure isn't just media training. It's inherited. The press conference clips tell you everything. A young QB who understands the weight of the moment and a fanbase watching closely hoping he can be the one. Because if he is, that clears the runway for the real headline. Deion on the Browns sideline coaching his son in the NFL. Speaking. Of course, this storyline doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's already a head coach in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski, and while he's had moments of success, the leash is shortening. After several seasons of inconsistent play, a rotating door of quarterbacks and playoff hopes constantly teetering, Stefanski's tenure feels increasingly fragile. The idea that the Browns are even considering this Deion move speaks volumes. It's not just about upgrading, it's about blowing everything up and starting fresh. Stefanski's position has quietly shifted from foundational leader to placeholder. And when that happens in the NFL, it usually doesn't end. But here's where the stakes go nuclear. This isn't just a coaching hire. If the Browns go forward with Deion, General Manager Andrew Berry would have to give up one of the most protected powers in pro football, roster control. That kind of authority is rarely handed out, even to veteran NFL coaches. Offering it to someone with zero NFL coaching experience is unheard of. Barry has spent years trying to build a roster with discipline, analytics, and structure. Ceding that power to Deion would be more than a shift in philosophy, it'd be a complete regime change. And it's not clear how much say he'll have if ownership gets starry-eyed. Context matters. The Browns have been spiraling in the chaos of their own creation for years. Quarterback instability, coach changes, front office overhauls. Every season seems to restart the same problems. Fans are exhausted. The media's tired of giving them second chances. And the franchise, frankly, is out of conventional ideas. This is a team looking for an identity, not a winning streak. A cultural reset. That's why the Deion SHEDEUR package deal doesn't sound so wild in Cleveland. It's not just about football. It's about erasing years of dysfunction and giving fans something bold to believe in again. SHEDEUR's debut only added fuel to the fire. He handled the pressure like a veteran. Analysts called him the most composed Browns quarterback in recent memory. He moved the ball, kept the offense structured, and didn't let the moment get to him. It wasn't perfection, but it was progress, and for the Browns that's rare enough to cause a stir. If this is the version of SHEDEUR that continues to show up, it justifies the Browns' gamble. Because in a league where quarterback play determines futures, finding a competent, stable leader under center is everything. And if he's coached by someone who knows how to unlock him, that changes the whole. Deion hasn't publicly confirmed any offer from the Browns, but he's dropped plenty of breadcrumbs. When asked about coaching in the NFL, he's acknowledged the challenge, but also left the door wide open. He's praised SHEDEUR's growth repeatedly. He's talked about culture over structure. And more than once, he's hinted that the right situation could get him to make the leap. For a man who's spent his career disrupting norms, this move would fit his brand perfectly. From his player days to his current run in college football, Deion has never played by the book. The Browns know that. And they're banking on that being the very thing that finally breaks their curse. With reporters circling the story, SHEDEUR's latest post-game press conference was practically a meta moment. No one asked directly about the coaching rumors, but everyone knew. He stayed composed as usual. He gave credit to the team. He answered questions with the same clarity he shows on the field. But what stood out was his tone. Not nervous, not defensive, just grounded. Like someone who's used to the spotlight, not blinded by it. The kind of maturity that makes this entire package deal more than media hype. Because if the Browns actually go through with this, if they hand the keys to Deion and double down on SHEDEUR, they aren't just betting on hype. They're betting on leadership, legacy, and a reset the NFL hasn't seen before. The image of Deion Sanders in Browns gear is already floating through NFL social media like wildfire. It hasn't happened, but the visual is too strong, too loud to ignore. Coach Prime in orange and brown? That alone would break the internet. He brings cameras, controversy, charisma, everything the Browns haven't been known for since, ever. This isn't just about a football coach. It's about branding, identity, a media ecosystem that could put the Browns in prime time for reasons other than collapse. And for a franchise that's long lived in the shadow of bigger markets, Deion could make Cleveland the main character, for once not as the punchline. Speaking. That possibility has put Kevin Stefanski in the most uncomfortable spotlight of his career. He's not just coaching games anymore, he's coaching while knowing that every loss, every blown lead, every missed opportunity could be the final nail. There's no hiding from the rumors. The idea of being replaced by Deion Sanders isn't subtle. It's loud. It's public. And it's looming. Sources close to the Browns say Stefanski's relationship with upper management has grown tense. There's frustration about offensive inconsistency, quarterback rotations, and locker room morale. Even if SHEDEUR delivers, Stefanski's future doesn't look safe. Because once fans taste hope, they rarely settle for survival. What makes all of this even more surreal is that SHEDEUR, still in the infancy of his NFL career, is showing signs of being the most mature person in the room. Every mic in his face, every question about his father, every implication of nepotism, he answers all of it with steady calm. He's not rattled by the noise. If anything, he seems sharper under pressure. Teammates keep backing him. Coaching staff have stopped framing him as a rookie with upside, and started calling him a leader with command. Those aren't throwaway compliments. But if the Browns pull the trigger on Deion, GM Andrew Berry becomes the most complicated figure in this story. Not because he's the villain, but because his role might vanish. Full roster control is almost never given to a new coach, let alone one coming straight from college. For Berry, this isn't just a power shift, it's an identity crisis. He's built this team through calculated risk, analytics, and front office cohesion. Deion represents the opposite, a gut feel, star-driven model. If this deal happens, Barry either has to embrace a diminished role or walk away. And that decision could reshape the entire front office hierarchy. The urgency here isn't manufactured. This is a team living in a constant loop of disappointment. Quarterbacks have come and gone. So have coaches. The front office tried everything, from drafting talent to making splashy free agent moves, and still nothing sticks. Every September starts with hope, and every December ends in disbelief. The locker room has felt it. The fans have lived it. The league has almost written them off. So when something this big surfaces, when a move this aggressive becomes even a remote possibility, it's no wonder the entire franchise starts to hold its breath. At his most recent press conference, SHEDEUR addressed team performance. Not stats. Not headlines. Team. He highlighted the O-line. He shouted out the receivers. He showed gratitude to a franchise that's never made life easy for quarterbacks. And again, he didn't mention his father. That discipline has earned him points. It's one thing to play well, it's another to lead when the narrative's already been written for you. SHEDEUR knows the skepticism. He knows people are waiting for him to stumble. But he's not handing them the. Deion, meanwhile, has remained characteristically loud, but careful. He's praised SHEDEUR without overselling him. He's referenced NFL interest without naming names. But insiders say the Browns' offer isn't a one-time flirtation. It's structured. It's real. It includes incentives, creative clauses, and, most crucially, full roster authority. To Deion, this isn't about proving doubters wrong. It's about building something that lasts. He's not shy about wanting legacy. The question is whether Cleveland is ready to let him chase it, on his terms. As SHEDEUR settles into his role, there's another layer to this story. Performance is one thing. Perception is another. No matter how well he plays, there will always be whispers about favoritism if his dad joins the sideline. That kind of speculation can crack a locker room. But so far it hasn't. In fact, SHEDEUR's teammates seem more dialed in. Reports say practices have taken on more focus. The offense is responding to him, not resisting. That buy-in? It's rare. Especially for a rookie. And it might be the one thing that allows this wild experiment to work. Speaking. And yet, Kevin Stefanski remains on the sideline, steering a team he may no longer be leading for much longer. He's in a thankless position, forced to prove himself in real time while the organization shops around for his replacement. It's not that Stefanski failed completely. But the Browns aren't interested in marginal improvement. They've had that. What they want now is transformation. Something dramatic enough to rewrite the franchise. Stefanski isn't that guy anymore. And everyone knows it. The Browns are standing at a crossroads. One path leads to more of the same, mild improvement, small wins, slow progress. The other leads into the unknown, high risk, higher drama, and the chance to become something totally different. Not just a better football team. A new kind of NFL franchise. Deion Sanders represents that second path. He's not safe. He's not quiet. But he wins hearts, controls narratives, and builds culture. And paired with a quarterback who already looks like the real deal? That's the kind of gamble that turns. Inside the front office, Andrew Barry is being forced into a corner. If the Browns' ownership moves forward with Deion, Barry's influence over roster decisions will all but disappear. For a general manager who's fought to modernize the franchise with a calculated, analytics-first approach, this pivot would feel like a betrayal of the very system he helped build. And yet, the team's trajectory has stalled. That's the uncomfortable truth. Barry's model brought some stability, but it hasn't delivered a contender. The Deion conversation signals that the Browns are done waiting, done tweaking. They want a revolution, and Barry's data sheets might not survive it. When SHEDEUR was asked about the possibility of being coached by his father in the NFL, he sidestepped it. Gracefully. He said all he could control was how he performed. That he trusts the front office. That his focus is on helping his teammates succeed. But what wasn't said was just as loud. There was no rejection of the idea. No awkward laughter. No distancing. If anything, there was familiarity, like this wasn't a hypothetical to him, but something already being quietly considered behind closed. Meanwhile, Deion has kept the world guessing. He posts cryptic quotes, talks about destiny, emphasizes family. He plays the game without ever confirming he's in it, and that's exactly why this story won't die. Because no one plays the media quite like Coach Prime. And whether he's in Boulder or talking with NFL owners, Deion understands leverage. The Browns want more than just a coach. They want attention. They want a product. And Deion knows how to sell it, shape it, and make it profitable. He's not auditioning. He's negotiating. Speaking. Kevin Stefanski has kept his public comments professional, but he's not blind. This isn't the first time his job has been under fire, but it might be the first time it feels like the decision's already been made. Every media briefing now carries a subtext. How long can he hold off the inevitable? He's coaching week to week. Not with job security, but with job suspense. One slip, one locker room shift, one disappointing result, and the franchise will finally have the excuse it needs to make the change. The writing is in cursive on the wall. Everyone's reading it. This all comes back to Cleveland's legacy of dysfunction. The Browns have tried being conservative. They've tried being flashy. They've tried leaning into talent, into culture, into systems, and none of it has worked for long. That's why the Deion pitch feels like the end of the line. The final wild roll of the dice. It's not just a coaching move. It's a rebrand. It's the Browns telling the league, we're done being your cautionary tale. We're going to be the headline. Whether it crashes or catches fire, at least it won't be boring. As SHEDEUR's NFL debut continues to get dissected by analysts and talking heads, the general consensus is holding steady. He's not just good for a rookie, he's good, period. That's the key distinction. He's not a potential guy. He's a player who can already handle the heat. That performance shifts the risk equation dramatically. If SHEDEUR looked shaky, this Deion rumor would have been laughed off. But now, it's a calculated play. If you believe SHEDEUR is the future, then hiring the person who's guided his entire career isn't favoritism. It's optimization. And this is where the optics matter. Deion brings a different kind of energy to every room he walks into. In college, he transformed locker rooms with swagger and expectation. He doesn't just demand excellence, he makes players believe they can give it. That kind of cultural overhaul is exactly what the Browns have never had. You can't fake what Deion has. The camera follows him. The players listen. The fans react. That might not win you a Super Bowl on its own, but it changes the gravitational pull of the entire franchise. And that's something Cleveland desperately needs. SHEDEUR. At his latest post-game presser, SHEDEUR was asked about how he's handling the spotlight. His answer? Pressure is what you feel when you're not prepared. It was short, sharp, and landed with impact. That's a player who doesn't just speak well, he understands the moment. And that understanding? That's the kind of trait that separates franchise quarterbacks from placeholders. He's not just executing plays, he's owning the narrative. Which is exactly why this father-son proposal isn't being laughed out of the room. It's being discussed at the ownership level. Sources around the league say Andrew Berry has already begun contingency planning. Not because he's given up, but because this kind of power shift changes everything. If Deion takes the job, Berry's future becomes unstable, even if he stays. His allies in the front office are reportedly split. Some see the hire as a bold reset. Others worry about control, strategy, and structure collapsing. And in a franchise already haunted by instability, that division could quickly turn into dysfunction, unless they get it right fast. But through all of this, the rumors, the speculation, the pressure, SHEDEUR keeps showing up. Same energy. Same confidence. Same calm. He doesn't talk like someone whose career is being scripted by headlines. He talks like someone writing his own chapter. And maybe that's the point. Whether or not Deion becomes the head coach, SHEDEUR's already earned his shot. He's already turned heads. And in a league that chews up young QBs, that alone is a victory. What happens next? Well, that's up to the Browns. Speaking. Kevin Stefanski is coaching like a man who knows he's being watched by more than just analysts. Every drive is a referendum. Every halftime adjustment is judged like it's a final exam. And hovering over all of it is the shadow of Deion Sanders, looming, charismatic, and very real. It's hard enough to win in the NFL. It's harder when the conversation around your team isn't about your game plan, but about who might replace you. Stefanski's trying to keep the ship steady, but in Cleveland, the storm never really stops. The moment he loses control of the locker room, or worse, the scoreboard, the ownership might decide they've seen enough. SHEDEUR. Reporters keep trying to crack SHEDEUR's composure, and he keeps brushing them off with calm, focused answers. There's something surreal about watching a rookie carry himself like a seasoned pro while the people in charge scramble behind the scenes to figure out what's next. He doesn't speak like he's waiting for his father to show up and save the day. He speaks like someone who's already earned the respect of the room. And maybe that's what makes this entire story so wild. It's not a father trying to pull his son up. It's a son proving he belongs, and the league realizing that the family name might come with more upside than ego. Deion, for his part, hasn't poured gasoline on the fire. But he hasn't put it out either. Every time he's asked about coaching in the NFL, he smiles. He says things like, "Never say never," or "God will place me where I'm meant to be." And those aren't no's. Those are maybes dressed in charisma. This isn't someone chasing an opportunity. This is someone waiting for the right one to find him. And if the Browns are serious about reshaping their entire franchise around culture, identity, and star power, there is no bigger swing than Deion. For Browns fans, this whole saga is emotional whiplash. On one hand, SHEDEUR might actually be the answer at quarterback, something they've been chasing for decades. On the other hand, the idea of throwing the franchise's entire structure into the hands of a first-time NFL coach, even one as magnetic as Deion, is terrifying. But fear has never brought this team success. Playing it safe has led them nowhere. The Browns are not known for bold victories. They're known for broken promises. And this is a chance to break the cycle. Not with another slow rebuild, but with a story so big, it forces the league to pay. SHEDEUR's rise is the anchor in this chaos. Without his performance, this proposal wouldn't be on the table. But the way he's handled pressure, led drives, and silenced doubts has forced people to see the bigger picture. This isn't about hiring a celebrity coach. It's about building a system that lets talent thrive, and SHEDEUR is the proof that it could work. He's not just carrying the Sanders name. He's elevating it. And if the Browns are smart, they'll realize that he's already earned the right to lead. Pairing him with someone who knows how to get the best out of him might not be risky. It might be. Now all eyes are on Andrew Berry. Will he hold the line and protect the traditional front office structure? Or will he adapt, let go of control, and let something new take shape? He's been the architect of this team for years. But even architects get replaced when the blueprint stops delivering wins. No matter what happens next, this moment will define his legacy in Cleveland. Play it safe and risk being forgotten. Or embrace the chaos, and potentially go down as the man who bet everything on a different kind of future. The NFL world is watching. Fans are refreshing their feeds. And the Browns? They're standing on the edge of something big. It could blow up in their faces, or it could finally change everything. If you've been glued to this saga, hit that like button and let us know what you think in the comments. Should the Browns hand the keys to Coach Prime? And is SHEDEUR Sanders already the future QB Cleveland's been waiting for? Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because this story is just getting started.